I think of the kind of entertainment that I'm doing and want to continue to do is in what we call an urban entertainment setting, whereby people will be able to go year-round to an indoor situation, just in the same way they'd go to a movie theater. But they'll go to a combination of very powerful environmental immersive experiences like simulator rides or virtual reality or 3D experiences or acoustic experiences, sound experiences, tactile experiences. A wide range of sensory immersion experiences is now emerging, and that will be the new indoor urban entertainment center of the very near future.
Another company which specializes in compact simulation units for urban entertainment centers is iWorks in Los Angeles.
This company was founded in 1986 under a general premise that the movie studios were focusing so much on what's happening in the home with home video and pay cable that they were not focusing as much on out-of-the-home entertainment. We knew that in the U.S. specifically, that at that time in 1986, movie theater attendance had been flat for 10 years. Here we are 5 or 6 years later, it's been flat for another 5 years, and last year it was down. With that, we have a general belief that the greatest untapped entertainment market today is in urban, out-of-home markets. Cinetropolis is a name that we've given to a concept that we actually term a movie park. Movie park meaning that is a cross between a theme park and a movie complex. You may see a lot of short stories that together create a 90-minute experience. And it's a movie theater in that we use movie technologies, powerful movie technologies that are 10 times more exciting than a normal movie from a technology standpoint. So you combine a theme park with a movie theater complex, and that's Cinetropolis. The last theater is a virtual reality theater. This theater is so futuristic, we don't even know exactly what it's going to look like.
The level of graphic sophistication envisaged by iWorks is already available, but, up to now, it's been used exclusively in the high-cost training programs, many of them paid for by the military and civil aviation. Since the 1960s, Evans and Sutherland have pioneered interactive computer graphics of this kind, but world events have caught up with them. Now that the battle plans are being redrawn, they're turning their sights on the leisure industry. Technology which trained test pilots is now being targeted on the field of operations codenamed virtual reality.
If you got into the Air Force simulation, I tell you, it's thrilling. They had one in which they kind of came over to Los Angeles and went up Malibu on some sort of raid, I guess, over Madonna's house. And that was so thrilling, you could almost get airsick. But that's like a $10 million machine.
We are trying right now to apply primarily is our visual system technology, the interactive graphics, to the entertainment field.
I'm driving along here in the city database. I'm moving the eye point in real time, controlling it from the joystick here, so I can move anywhere in this database I want. We also have another red light here. I think I'll run it. I'll move down the side street here. Again, you see some more of the photo-derived texture. We have digitized a photograph of an actual building in Salt Lake City and applied that texture to the polygons. I'm going to pull the visibility in from about 50 miles down to about 5,000 feet. This is done in real time. I'm going to bring it in even further so that we're down to about 750 feet. This might be a very foggy day in any town, whether it's Salt Lake in the winter or London at any time.
A typical civil application of interactive graphics is the driving simulator, where the user is in total control of the environment and able to stop, start, and turn the vehicle at will, and in real time. The incredibly complex technology required to run this massive program has now been condensed into a unit the size of a photocopier, but the price has not contracted accordingly.
Move through different vehicles, which is going right through the cars. and then I'm able to also go through the buildings. The nice thing about simulation is when you crash, there's no mess.
Now remember, see, there's nothing very new about believing what's on an electronic screen. The average American watches television 7 hours a day like some amoeboid slug, passively being invaded by these electronic realities which are on the screen to get you to buy beer or to vote for Bush or something like that. So the idea of really believing, accepting, and having your life changed by what's going on the screen is almost addictive now.
The media has very much hyped up virtual reality to be something it's not. If you look at the most recent film that's been launched in the States and this country, Lawnmower Man, some of the quality of the graphics that's being used in that is way, way above what we can achieve at the moment if you intend putting that onto a three-dimensional or stereoscopic headset. If you look at the holodeck on Star Trek, The Next Generation, that is very, very many decades away in the future. When you read some of the newspaper articles where they're inviting you to take a fantasy space flight, or they're inviting you to become a macho man on a virtual beach, this is not the sort of effect that can be achieved with virtual reality in its current state.
I think having a couple of joints now is not nearly as culturally acceptable as it was in the 60s. The idea of putting on some goggles and being able to immerse yourself in some alternate reality is our culture's present version of a psychedelic drug alternate reality.
Graphics like these are not yet available in virtual reality, but will they ever become available for entertainment purposes at a virtually realistic price?
That technology could be brought to the entertainment market, but at a price no one would pay. And it's a question of when the speed and capabilities of that technology reach a point, which right now, the general discussion is people will pay $1 per minute for a virtual reality experience. That is the point that people have to reach. They have reached that now, but with only low-end virtual reality systems.
What virtual reality tries to achieve, it tries to achieve this immersion, this quality of immersion in a computer-generated world. It tries to achieve interaction with objects in that virtual world using the skills we were all born with. Now, to do that, it relies on quite well-proven and quite well-founded technologies, which are still very, very primitive. For example, you are requested to put on a headset that basically consists of a couple of pocket televisions to present imagery to the eyes of the user. It typically uses very primitive sensors on the glove to measure the movements of the fingers, and it uses quite primitive magnetic tracking systems that are mounted on the headset or on the glove to allow you to move through a three-dimensional world. The other issue is that the psychology of virtual reality is also the psychology of handicap. You're in a very deprived sensory world. You wear gloves that fail to respond to the commands of your real hand. You can't pick objects up. You find that fingers will disappear and poke out from some other side of the body. The imagery is moving around totally outside of your control, and you end up being very frustrated, very immobile, and not being able to do anything practical whatsoever. And these problems, these two analogies, migraine and handicap, which I think best describe the current level of virtual reality technology.
The first thing I'm going to do is use this little cursor to select a 3D flying function, select the rocket, press the green button for go, and now basically I fly in the direction I'm looking. And what I've got here is a virtual kitchen. One particular interesting line of research for the Japanese. You can fly up, and there's a frying pan. If I fly close enough, reach down, I can pick up this frying pan, have a look at it, drop it on the floor, make it vanish altogether. Then we've got the teapot. Teapot. If I look at that, if I drop this here, the teapot will in fact drop down for some miles and carry on going into infinity.
because we can control the experience. We can create an image with clarity that's 100-fold what today's virtual reality systems can create. On the other hand, we can't allow anyone to go their own path within our artificial world. And those are the two trade-offs. Do you want visual reality and a feeling of reality, or would you prefer to be in control of your experience?
One of the things that we've been hearing, particularly from Japan, is that within the next 12 months or so, possibly before the end of 1992, we will see the first domestic virtual reality system available for sale in this country. And after that, I believe that's the end of civilization as we know it, because as with the personal computer, it will become more and more accessible to members of the general public, not just those who go to arcade centres. Now, the computing power is developing at such a rate, and the costs are dropping at such a rate, that photorealistic quality of images is probably between 5 and 10 years away. I like to describe it as a form of, if you like, social autism, where people will prefer to regress into their front rooms and interact with this completely alternative reality rather than go out into the real world. I also think that some of the very sad trends we're seeing in society at the moment, being able to pick up a telephone and dial an adult chat line, will in fact develop into more of a visual and auditory and tactile sensation. And the technology will be there to support it. So we will have people, if you like, becoming very regressed into their own ways, their own worlds.
I could see it becoming extraordinarily addictive. To take one example, in America now, there's a huge in pornography. As actual sexual activity becomes increasingly dangerous, as many people said, there's in greater interest in pornographic material. Now, it's been said, and I can see no reason why this shouldn't be so, that one of the users of virtual reality would be the pornographic industry, which of course in America is a huge industry. It actually rivals Hollywood. It exceeds Hollywood in the amount of money it makes. Now, if they produce virtual reality pornography, I would have to say that I think for most people that would be a hell of a lot better than the real thing.
The famous interaction of television, etc., is finally becoming true, and at the same time you never get out of your isolation. So I don't think there is any special danger to it. The danger is really there in the constitution of the individual. The individual is basically very lonely.
I know that there are people working on what they call retinal injection, which is the idea of, rather than the image being out here for me to look at, you could in fact treat your eyes as projector lenses, sort of reverse the idea, project an image into your retina rather than your eyes looking out into the world, so that it might be the experience of like a dream. You might be able to put into your head something that's like having a dream that's not out there, that's in here.
Clearly would be, at some point in the future, a means of perhaps controlling people by providing them with something which was so exciting, which was so stimulating, which was so different from what they were getting in their rather humdrum lives. They were prepared to go along with the system, go along with the regime, in order to qualify, perhaps for a token for good citizenship. You see, instead of a citizen's charter, what you get is a ticket to some sort of super theme park in the year 2050.
No orange grove need be raised for virtual reality. Its castles and chasms are all created from thin air. What began as one man's fantasy of family experience in a bright, clean and uncomplicated world has metamorphosized into an industry which aims to shrink realism into the corners of our already overcrowded minds. The irony is that Disney's Day Out could become Dante's Day In.